Good morning, students. Hope you all are fine. Today we are going to study about histology of endocrine system. You know that endocrine tissue is essentially made up of cells which produce secretions and which are poured into the blood. The secretions of these endocrine cells, they are called as hormones. Now we will see about the distribution of endocrine cells in our body. Types of endocrine cells present in our body. The first one is the major endocrine glands which are present in our body. These glands, they are having entirely endocrine function, and that's why they are called as endocrine glands. They are traditionally included the various glands. These are pituitary gland, pineal gland, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, adrenal gland. These are the major and big glands present in our body which are entirely endocrine in function. Second type is the cluster of cells in the organ. Group of endocrine cells, they are present in the organs that are having other functions. In that, the different organs are there. In that, you will get few group of cells which are having these endocrine functions. So where you will get this type of cluster of cells in the organs, these examples are ovarian follicles, in the corpus luteum, leading cells in the testes, then in the placenta, pancreatic islets, that is islets of Langerhans, and some cells in the thymus and the kidney. So in these different organs you will get cluster of cells which are having endocrine function. Then third type, that is the single cell, that is the single cell or isolated cells present in the epithelium. These single cells, these are modification of some epithelial cells which you will get in different part of the body. Examples where you will get this type of single cells which are having endocrine functions. These examples are endocrine cells of the gut. Then in the respiratory epithelium you will get, and few cells, these are categorized under APUD system or neuroendocrine cells. So these are the three different types or the distribution of the endocrine cells you will get in our body. Let's study today about hypophysis cerebri. As I told you that big organs which are mainly endocrine functions, in that this hypophysis cerebri is the major gland, very important gland that we will study today. Now what we have to cover today regarding histology of hypophysis cerebri, that is number one, introduction. We will introduce the hypophysis cerebri, then parts of the hypophysis cerebri, mainly adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. In adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis, we have to study in detail about cells present in these two parts of the hypophysis cerebri, then secretion done by these cells and functions of these cells. Next thing is we have to study about the blood supply of hypophysis cerebri. After studying blood supply of hypophysis cerebri, we will go for the clinical implication of histology of the hypophysis cerebri. And lastly, we will summarize this topic, histology of the hypophysis cerebri. Let us start with the introduction. The hypophysis cerebri is also called as pituitary gland and is approximately the size of pea. It is suspended from the floor of third ventricle of the brain by a narrow funnel-shaped stalk called the infundibulum and lies in a depression on the upper surface of the sphenoid bone called sella turcica. The hypophysis cerebri is one of the most important endocrine gland. It produces several hormones of which profoundly influence the activities of the other endocrine glands in our body. Now, this hypophysis cerebri is in turn controlled by the hypothalamus, which is the highest center, as well as pineal body. But as hypophysis cerebri controls other endocrine glands of our body, this hypophysis cerebri or this gland is called as master endocrine gland. It is called as master endocrine gland. Let us go with parts of the hypophysis cerebri. Now majorly hypophysis cerebri is divided into two parts, adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. Now adenohypophysis includes three subparts. It includes three subparts: pars anterior, pars tuberalis, pars intermedia. Whereas neurohypophysis includes again three subparts, that is pars nervosa, median eminence and infundibulum. I will show you the diagram how these parts or how this gland is divided. Now the adenohypophysis contain, as I told you, three parts, in which first one is pars anterior. You can see this is pars anterior, and next one pars intermedia, this small cleft like structure, that is pars intermedia. They both are made up of cells which are having direct secretory function. They are collectively referred as adenohypophysis. Plus one another part is added in that is called as pars tuberalis. This one, pars tuberalis. This pars tuberalis surround the central nervous core of the infundibulum. Because of this tubular shape of this extension of the pars anterior here, this part is called as pars tuberalis. So pars anterior, pars intermedia and pars tuberalis, these three parts combinedly included into the adenohypophysis. Next thing, that is the next part of this hypophysis cerebri, is the neurohypophysis. The pars posterior, in that this major part is pars posterior, this one. Pars posterior contain numerous nerve fibers. It is directly continuous with the central core of the infundibular stalk, this one, infundibular stalk, which is made up of again nervous tissue. And this collectively, this infundibular stalk and the pars posterior, these two parts, they are togetherly called as neurohypophysis. In these two parts, one another part is added which is present in the floor of the third ventricle, and this part is called as median eminence. This is called as this median eminence. So median eminence, infundibulum and the pars posterior, these three parts, now they are collectively called as neurohypophysis. The major functional difference or the anatomical or you can call it as a histological difference between neurohypophysis and adenohypophysis is that the cells of the adenohypophysis, they secrete hormones as their own, but neurohypophysis doesn't secrete their hormone, but the hormones are secreted in the higher center, that is cells of the hypothalamus, and they are carried through unmyelinated nerve fibers in the neurohypophysis where they are released. This is the major difference. We will see in detail all this in the next part. Next part we will study is the adenohypophysis in detail now. This adenohypophysis, in that three parts you know that, but mainly pars anterior. Now first we will see pars anterior. What is there, what is present in the pars anterior? Pars anterior contain cords of cells separated by fenestrated sinusoids. There are several types of cells responsible for the production of different hormones. They are present in the pars anterior. Using routine staining procedure, the cells of the pars anterior can be divided into two types of cells. These are chromophil cell and chromophobe cells. Now, this pars anterior is also called as pars distalis. In that, two types of cells you can see with routine staining procedure, that is chromophil cells and chromophobe cells. Now, how they are divided? The chromophil cells contain or they are stained with the big granules, and these chromophil cells, they like eosin stain, means pinkish in color. They like eosin stain. When the cells take the eosin cell more and or their granules stain with the acidic dye, these cells are called as chromophil cells. Other than this, or in contrast to that, the chromophobe cells, these chromophobe cells, they doesn't take stain, that is eosin stain, but they take the hematoxylin stain. That is next second one is the these chromophobe cells. The granules present in the chromophobe cells are very less and they take the hematoxylin stain. So according to the staining properties, different staining properties, cells present in the pars anterior, they are divided into chromophil cells and chromophobe cells. Functionally, chromophobe cells are inert type. They are not having a major function of secretion of hormone. But chromophil cells, they secrete very important hormones, because again the chromophil cell contain two type of cells, that is acidophils and basophils. Acidophil and basophil. Acidophil cells, they take eosin stain, they are also called as alpha cell. Basophil cell, they take hematoxylin stain, they are called as beta cell. Now the acidophil cells again contain different cells which secretes the hormone. These different cells which are present or in the acidophil cells, they are number one, somatotrophs. 50% cells present in the acidophil category, they are called as somatotroph, and they produce the very important hormone that is called as somatotropic hormone. Somatotropic hormone, and this hormone is also called as growth hormone. The hormone controls body growth, especially before puberty. It controls body growth, especially before puberty. Next one, the cells present in the acidophils category, that is the lactophores, or they are also called as mammotrophs. These mammotrophs, 15 to 20% of the acidophil cells, they are of this category, that is mammotrophs or lactotrophs. They produce mammotropic hormone. This mammotropic hormone is also called as lactogenic hormone. This hormone stimulates the growth and activity of the female mammary gland during pregnancy and lactation. We have completed acidophil category. Now we will see the basophil category of the adenohypophysis part of the pituitary gland. Now basophil cells, they are having granules which stain with the basic dye, that is hematoxylin. That's why basophil cells, when you see the picture of the basophil cells, they stain dark blue in color. This basophil cell, they secretes different hormones, because they contain three category of cells. Basophil cells contain three category of cells. These are corticotrophs, gonadotroph and thyrotroph. These different cells, they secretes very important hormone that we will see one by one. First one is corticotroph. 15 to 20% cells of the basophil category, they come under this corticotroph. This corticotroph produce corticotropin hormone, that is also called as ACTH hormone. This hormone stimulates the secretion of some hormones of the adrenal cortex. Adrenal cortex means suprarenal gland, cortex of the suprarenal gland. The staining character of these cells are intermediate between those of the acidophile and basophil. Next thing or next part is the gonadotrope. Gonadotrope, these cells produce two types of hormones. The number one is FSH, that is follicular stimulating hormone. This follicular stimulating hormone present in the ovary which secretes estrogen, very important. And second one, gonadotrope cell secrete luteinizing hormone, that is also called as LH. This luteinizing hormone that produce progesterone, and this hormone is present in the corpus luteum of the ovary. Apart from this, gonadotrope also secrete interstitial cell stimulating hormone ICSH, which is present in the testes of a male. So that is third secretion which is done by the gonadotrope. 10% cells they are present in this category, gonadotrope. Third one is thyrotrope. Thyrotrope is 5% cells contributed in the basophil category, that is thyrotrope. This thyrotrope produces thyrotropic hormone, that is also called as TSH, which stimulate the activity of the thyroid gland, very important. So this is about the thyrotrope. Now before going to the next part, we can summarize like this, that is the adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis, major part of this pituitary gland. Adenohypophysis contain pars distalis, pars tuberalis, pars intermedia. The pars distalis or pars anterior contain two types of cells, that is chromophils and chromophores. Chromophil cells contain the big granules which are having darkly staining property or more or major affinity to the different stains, whereas chromophore cells contain very less granules. They are not having any affinity to any stain also, and very important that this chromophore cells doesn't contribute for any secretion of the hormone. Now we'll see detail about the chromophil cells. Chromophil cells, they are divided into acidophil and basophil. They are also called as alpha cell, beta cell. How it is divided? Acidophil, these cells they are having strong affinity to the eosin stain. That's why they are stained in pink category. And basophil cells, they are having strong affinity to the hematoxylin stain, which stain as a bluish in color, purple or bluish in color. Then acidophil category, these cells they contain again two types of cells, that is somatotrope and lactotrope. The somatotrope secretes growth hormone, lactotrope secretes mammotropic hormone or the lactogenic hormone. Basophil cells, they contain three different types of cells, that is corticotropes, gonadotropes, thyrotropes. Corticotropes secretes ACTH hormone, gonadotropes secretes luteinizing hormone, follicular stimulating hormone and ICSH hormone, that is interstitial cell stimulating hormone. Then thyrotropes secretes thyroid stimulating hormone, which controls the thyroid gland. So this is all about the adenohypophysis, cells present in the adenohypophysis, then secretions which are secreted by these cells present in the adenohypophysis, and functions of these cells which are present in the adenohypophysis. Now we'll go with the next part of this hypophysis cerebri, that is neurohypophysis. Again we'll deal with the cells, secretion and functions of the neurohypophysis. Before studying neurohypophysis, two parts of the adenohypophysis they are remaining, that we'll see. Number one is pars tuberalis. This pars tuberalis doesn't contain any cells which are contributing for the secretion of the hormone, but pars intermedia contain cells which secretes very important hormone, that is melanocyte stimulating hormone, which is important for the pigmentation of the skin of our body. So this completes the adenohypophysis. That is three parts of the adenohypophysis: cells present in the adenohypophysis and secretion as well as functions of the cells present in the adenohypophysis. Now we'll switch over the next part of the pituitary gland, that is neurohypophysis. This neurohypophysis in that pars posterior. This is the biggest part that I told you. This pars posterior consists of numerous unmyelinated nerve fibers, which are the axons of the neurons located in the hypothalamus. They are located in the hypothalamus. Most of the nerve fiber arises from the supraoptic and paraventricular nuclei. Situated between these axons, there are supporting cells of the spatial type, and they are called as pituocytes. These cells have a long dendritic process which lie parallel to this nerve fiber. Now the axons descending into the pars posterior, they carry hormones which are secreted in the hypothalamus through the secretory vesicles, which are bounded with the spatial glycoprotein. These hormones, they are carried to the pars posterior and they are released through the end of this unmyelinated axon. These hormones are two types of hormones that you see in the pars posterior. These are vasopressin, that is also called as ADH, anti-diuretic hormone, and second one is oxytocin. Two types of hormone, they are present in the pars posterior. Don't confuse here that these hormones, they are not secreted in the pars posterior, but they are carried from the hypothalamus, where they are secreted through the secretory vesicles. These hormones, they come to the pars posterior and they are released here, that is vasopressin or anti-diuretic hormone. This hormone controls reabsorption of water by the kidney tubules. That is the function of the vasopressin. Second hormone is the oxytocin. What is the function of oxytocin? It controls the contraction of smooth muscle of the uterus and also the mammary gland. Again, very important hormone. These two hormones, they are released through the secretory vesicles, and at the terminal portion of this axon, there is a bulb or the elongation present. This terminal bulb, which is present at the axonal end here in the pars posterior, that is called as Hering bodies. Hering bodies are terminal expanded portion present in the axon. At that end, these hormones are released, that is ADH hormone and oxytocin hormone. And in between this axon, supporting cells are present. As I told you, these supporting cells, they are called as pituocytes. So as far as the neurohypophysis is concerned, you must know that the neurohypophysis doesn't secrete any hormone, but the hormones which are secreted in the hypothalamus, they are carried to the pars posterior or the neurohypophysis. These hormones are ADH and oxytocin, and they are giving out at the axon terminals. That terminal is called as Hering bodies. This picture shows the histological appearance or microscopic appearance of the pituitary gland or the hypophysis cerebri. Now we can see that this is the complete picture of the hypophysis cerebri. This is the pars distalis or pars anterior, then pars intermedia, and this is the neurohypophysis. This is infundibulum along with the pars tuberalis. When you stain this gland through routine H&E staining, you will see the picture of this gland like this. In that, this is the low power view. Now high power view, we can elaborate this, and we can see that this is the complete part of the adenohypophysis, where you will see acidophil, the pinkish color stained by the eosin stain, and basophil. Can you see this purple, dark purple or blue color? This is the basophil cells, beta cells, alpha cell and beta cells. These cells are present or distributed, in between which you will see the sinusoidal capillaries. These are sinusoidal capillaries. So in high power view, you can see very clearly acidophil cells, basophil cells, in between that sinusoidal capillaries. Then chromophores. These are chromophil cells. Chromophore cells which doesn't contain any granules, that you can see chromophil cells, and these are chromophore cells. These both you will get in the adenohypophysis. Then coming to the neurohypophysis. This is neurohypophysis. In between that, pars intermedia. Here this is the small cleft like structure where you will get melanocytic stimulating hormone, this pars intermedia. Now this side, complete right side, you can see neurohypophysis. In neurohypophysis, what you will see, that is the pituocytes. Can you see pituocytes? These are the hearing bodies, pinkish color dark, and blackish color structure is the pituocytes, and unmyelinated nerve fibers that you will get in the neurohypophysis. So this picture you have to see, or you can see under microscope. This is the high power view and this is the low power view. Both you can see under microscope. Next portion is blood supply of hypophysis cerebri. Up till now, what you have studied, the hypophysis cerebri gland, its parts, its various cells present in the different part of the hypophysis cerebri, their secretion, their function, that we have studied. Now after studying all this, you must know blood supply of the hypophysis cerebri. You can see this picture shows blood supply of the hypophysis cerebri. This hypophysis cerebri is supplied by superior and inferior branches arising from the internal carotid artery. It is also supplied by anterior and posterior cerebral arteries. Now this inferior hypophyseal artery is mainly distributed into the pars posterior. Here you can see it is mainly distributed into the pars posterior. Branches from the superior set of artery supplies the median eminence and the infundibular. Here they end in the capillary plexus, from which portal vessel arises. This portal vessel descend through the infundibular stalk and end in the sinusoids of the pars anterior. The sinusoids are drained by veins. This vein. Sinusoids, they are drained by veins that end in the neighboring venous sinuses. This diagram or this above, in that you can see that this arrangement is unusual, because in that two sets of capillaries, they are working or intervene between the artery and vein. This is vein and this is artery. In between that two sets of capillaries, they are working, and that's why this is unusual. The first, one of these is the median eminence and the upper part of the infundibulum, where first set of capillary you can see. The second set of capillary, they are represented by the sinusoids present in the pars anterior, and that's why this type of arrangement is referred as hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system. Hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system. This is the unusual and very special type of blood supply of the hypophysis cerebri. That's why you must know this blood supply in detail. After studying blood supply of hypophysis cerebri, we will see next part, that is clinical implication, because every time you must know what is the clinical correlation of the study or the topic what you have studied up till now. Now microscopic anatomy of hypophysis cerebri, when you have studied, you must know its clinical implication. There are three different types of diseases which are related with this gland. That is, number one is gigantism. What is gigantism? This gigantism is nothing but the excess production of the growth hormone. This growth hormone is produced much more in quantity before puberty. That is very important. Before puberty, when it is produced prior to the epiphyseal closure, the condition is called as gigantism. And in this gigantism, prepubertal boys and girls, their height increase so much than normal. That's why you can see that the height of these boys and girls which are having this disease, that is gigantism, they are usually above 7 feet height. Example is this picture. Can you identify this person? Name of this person is Khali, the great Khali, which I think you have seen in the wrestler or wrestling competition, that is WWE. In that, this Khali is having this problem, gigantism, but he has cash or encash this excessive height which he is having, and he became popular. So this is one disease related with the this gland, that is excess production of growth hormone in the prepubertal age. Second problem related with this gland is the acromegaly. The condition is called as acromegaly. When growth hormone is increased much more than normal, but after puberty, then this condition occurs, that is called as acromegaly. When this after puberty this hormone is increased, that is growth hormone is increased, then at that time you know that there is a epiphyseal closure. That's why height is not increased, but increase in the different parts of the body, that is as like increase in the soft tissue, then prominent supraorbital ridges, then more prominent lower jaw, then enlargement of hands and feet than normal. This all you will get in the acromegaly. The example or the picture of the acromegaly I want to show you. It is like this. You can see the enlarged jaw than normal, supraorbital ridges, ears also they are big one than normal. Then you can see nose also is different one. Now you can see very clearly this is the normal hand and this is the hand of the acromegaly person. So you can make the difference. Third disease or problem related with this gland is the diabetes insipidus. I think you have heard about diabetes mellitus, where the islets of Langerhans having or secreting less insulin, or problem with that is the diabetes mellitus, that is most common, but this is diabetes insipidus, which is different than the diabetes mellitus. Why or when this occurs? Diabetes insipidus occurs when there is a deficiency in the secretion of the ADH hormone. ADH hormone is secreted or given out by the neurohypophysis, that you know. This whenever deficiency of ADH hormone occurs, the condition diabetes insipidus occurs. In this condition, again that patient or the person is having the polyuria, polydipsia, both the problems or symptoms are there. Polyuria means excessive urination than normal, and polydipsia means the person become more thirsty than normal. So this is the this diabetes insipidus usually occurs due to the inflammatory or the neoplastic lesion related with the neurohypophysis, or sometimes there is some problem with the blood supply of hypophysis cerebri. Because of that, this condition occurs, that is called as diabetes insipidus. Lastly, we will summarize what we have learned today related with the hypophysis cerebri. That is, first thing, the introduction of hypophysis cerebri. That is, what is hypophysis cerebri, where it is present, the position, then parts of the hypophysis cerebri, the major adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis, two parts. Then each part, the cells present in each part, the secretions which are secreted by the different cells present in each part of the hypophysis cerebri. Then next thing what we have learned after this, that is blood supply of the hypophysis cerebri. And lastly, clinical implication of the histology of the hypophysis cerebri. So this summary is, I think, sufficient to understand you the histology of the hypophysis cerebri. So what are the things you need to remember after completion of this class? That is called as learning objectives. What are the learning objectives related with this subject or topic? First one is distribution of the endocrine cells in our body. Then coming to the gland, that is hypophysis cerebri, what we learned today. In that you must know parts of the gland, that is hypophysis cerebri, then cells present in the different parts of the gland, then secretions secreted by these cells, and functions which are done by the different cells present in this gland. After this, you must know about the blood supply of the hypophysis cerebri. So these things you must know, which is very important. Thank you.